Oh, Steve, it's what everybody's been waiting for. We've been seeing it in the comments. We've been seeing it on the channel. Everybody's wondering, when's that next big board gonna drop of the wide receivers in the 2026 NFL Draft? It is happening right now. We're doing it sooner than we did a season ago. This is Steve Smith's Big Board 2.0. We're getting into it. I don't know the order that you will have these guys in, Steve. I did want to preface this, and because you're just like everybody else that's doing these evaluations. You're going through the film, you're trying to talk to people around the league. I'm doing the same thing to give everyone a premise of essentially what these teams are doing and why you see people on boards, players going up, players going down.
Yeah.
It's essentially this. I was talking to a national scout last night, Steve, who just said this. People have to remember, the area scout or the regional scout has already done all of his write-ups. Those are done by the end of December, right? They've been with these guys through the course of the season. Then, in the same organization, the national scouts now have their hand in it, and they put in their 2 cents and write-ups on a number of these players. Then the coaching staff gets involved, because what have they been doing all year? I don't know, coaching football in the NFL. Now their opinions are in, and everybody starts putting it together within these organizations. More of the character work is done. That's how all guys start going up and sliding down. They haven't been to the combine yet. They haven't had personal meetings. They haven't had workouts. So all of the pieces of the puzzle have not been put together yet. That's why players move. And you're no different. You're going to have guys in different spots than you did the first time you went through, because you have what now? More information. And that's what we're giving everybody. So I don't know your order. I do not know the order in which you put these players.
There's so much that factors into this. And over the last couple of years, we've gained a lot of traction. A lot of people will take the things that we talk about and try to doctor it up and put it on theirs, and then have comments about how ludicrous, how idiotic, and how foolish I am, as if I guess I don't watch film, or maybe people don't like the film I'm watching. So here's the thing. If you don't like where you ended up, I'm sorry. I apologize. If you want me to say better things, put better film on, please, right? Okay. The thing with this draft class that I think is getting thrown around by a lot of people that I totally disagree with is this draft class is not stacked. Let's get that out of the way. All these people who are saying this draft class is stacked, it ain't stacked. There's about 3 or 4 guys who are top tier, who are there. Like teams
I've heard 3 from everybody. We'll get to them, but I've heard 3.
Teams are going to be climbing up to say, hey, do we want to wait into the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, or does this guy impact and improve our roster right now?
That's the battle I've gone through, Steve, with the conversations I've had. It's either our team's going to jump because this is one of the better position groups as a whole in the draft, and do they want best player available on their board, or, and you and I have talked about this, do you get value in some of the guys that may drop because you have to pick some of these guys, whether it's in the trenches or the running back position. I'm just saying spots that are just not as deep as the receiver spot is in this draft. Maybe that pushes some guys down because you need to get those. You don't have those options later. It's going to be fascinating to see the way that this draft goes, because Daniel Jeremiah, who's going to be on our show after the Combine, by the way, he came out with his second mock draft this morning when we're taping this, and he has 6 receivers in the first round.
Ooh, 6.
Woo! 6. And I was like, wow. So that's one way, as I just described it, the draft could fall. It could fall the other way, where teams are snatching all the guys that they're not going to be able to get later in the draft, knowing they can get value on receivers later. It's going to be fascinating.
Well, it also, too, it depends on where you get drafted, right? And when I said that this draft class is not stacked, I'm talking about stacked in regards of what we've experienced and seen over the last couple of years that we've – There is, in my humble opinion, there is no Malik Neighbors / Marvin Harrison Jr. It just isn't. Like, where it's cream of the crop. When you see, right, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, their year coming out, it never wavered. It was never a like, well, I'm not sure somebody's going to leapfrog them and be up to the top. That never happened. I think there's no Roman Dunze type of player that the teams are like, hey, we need to match him with our quarterback because he can make us better. Right? I just don't see that. Now, is there a lot of talented young men in this draft?
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. Tons of talented young men, and some of them aren't in the top 10. Some of them are not in the top 20. There are some guys from no names, no schools, that may end up sliding on in earlier in the rounds than people anticipated. And there may be some guys from big names that slide on down, not because of character, it's just because of also there's a ton of free agent wide receivers that are a lot of question marks this year more than others.
Yep. Make sure you like and subscribe, by the way, because this is just outstanding stuff. Please, you don't want to miss any of it. And Steve's exactly right with the way that this could fall with all of the guys. I talked to an executive yesterday, Steve, who told me there could be 20 wide receivers that have a grade. Doesn't mean this is where they're drafted, right? You know this. That have a third round or better grade as a wide receiver. There could be 20 of them. Doesn't mean they all go in the first 3 rounds.
Correct.
And those should be NFL starters, by the way. Tell everybody at home, if you're drafted second, third round, they expect you to be a starter. That's where that pick is.
They do expect you to be a starter. Second and third round starter in regards of wide receiver number 2. They don't expect you to be the man. They expect you to eventually become the man or give you you become the 1B where teams have to account for you. I don't see some of these guys being that because there's some slot guys who primarily play in the slot, only play in the slot. They thrive in the slot. They don't really thrive outside as much because of the way they were utilized in college, where teams were playing them outside, but it was some kind of rub or screen route coming underneath and throwing a little shallow, and that's how they were used. Lined up outside, gets the out wide lineup, but when you look at the finished product after the shifts in motion, man, there was a condensed formation. They caught the ball in a underneath type of slot role.
Yep, that's a perfect way to put it. I know you and I had this conversation the other day, and I want to put this out there, and then we're going to start the list, is this. Oftentimes, and this is what Steve is trying to figure out when he looks at the film, and I think you're better at it than anybody else that is out there, but everybody in organizations across the NFL are trying to do this as well, is I see this on film. Can the guy only do this? Can he not do the other things? Or is it the quarterback can't do the other things? Or within the scheme of our offense, we just can't have him do it? That's why it is a little bit of a crapshoot going like, was this guy not running this because he can't do it? Or the offense or the quarterback or the system or the situation can't do it?
Sometimes I look in that film, some of these guys, and I go, man, why are they not throwing him the football? He's shown against better competition, he can run routes. He's shown against weaker competition, he can run routes. But all you have him doing is running a lot of underneath screen routes. So I have some questions on the coaching staff. I have some questions on understanding what are they trying to do. But also that usage, that usage. But that also falls upon the inability or the ability of your quarterback. Can he process? Can he confirm where he's going with the ball, with the football, or is he discovering and hanging out to dry your wide receivers or missing opportunities because he just doesn't see it fast enough?
I love it. We're moving here, guys. This is outstanding. All right. I know the players. I don't know the order. What I do know is you want to start with somebody who is, I don't know what you want to call it, an honorable mention, sitting outside the top 10, outside looking in, could potentially get in. Who is this player that I'm being told?
A guy that's sitting on outside of the top 10 for me right now. And there's a few guys that we're going to get into over the next couple of weeks. But for me, it's Skyler Bell from UConn. Man, really love the way he attacks the football. He does a really good job. A lot of people are not putting him in their category as in the top 10, but I got him just right below the line. And I think if he has a good combine, if invited to the combine, I think he's going to show out. And if he doesn't go to the combine, teams are going to continue to look at his film because that happens every year. One or two guys comes out, does not run really good routes, doesn't look as polished, looks unprepared, and then all of a sudden someone squeaks up or moves up on the chart because of opportunity. And I believe Skyler Bell is one of those guys who doesn't get a lot of credit, isn't seen, but, man, he jumps off the page. His play jumps off the page for me. So I'm going with an honorable mention with Skyler Bell from UConn. Okay. And best believe, if and when I can get his pro day, I'm going down to Boston and go check him out because I think it's well-deserved that Agent 89 should be in the building to watch this young man go to work.
I love it because this guy had 13 games played last year, 101 catches, 1,278 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He did get a combine invite, so he is going to be in Indianapolis, and he is going to be evaluated by everybody there. I actually was talking to an executive yesterday, Steve, where I go, Steve has his list, and they were like, what's Steve's list?
I
go, the intriguing, I tell everybody, and when I got to Skyler Bell, he was like, okay, that's interesting. He texts me this morning, 5 a.m. I get a text. I'm laying in bed. I get a text that just says this. Skyler Bell reminds me of Jayden Reed. I go, you're already looking at Skyler Bell? He's like, you mentioned to me last night.
Yep.
So he was already looking it over.
Hey, let him know.
It was curious.
Let him know he owed me some money for that free tip, okay?
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, he does watch 89. He did tell me. So
yeah, that's cool. But hit that subscribe there.
Hopefully the whole organization subscribes. Listen, he did say this about it. I'm curious what you thought. He said the contested catch stuff isn't nearly as good as Jayden's, but I do like what I'm watching right now.
Yeah, man. Look, it's always going to be tough.
Hey, that's an impressive comp, by the way, for a guy that's playing at UConn right now. You don't like the Jayden Reed comp?
I like the comp. I just don't always like comps.
I know you don't. That's why I provide the comps for everybody at home, because you don't like the comps.
Some of the comps, it automatically puts you in the
pigeonholes a guy already.
You get pigeonholed, but you get in a line of fire of our great community of when people don't hear the name they like, they poo-poo on the name they do hear.
I got you. Yeah.
Right.
But listen, and we have to make this clear. You know who loves comps? GMs,
yes,
owners, assistant GMs. They want to hear because they're not pining over as much film. They watch a lot of film, but these guys, they need to hear a comp to get their mind going a little bit in those meetings. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go through our top 10 now. That was your honorable mention.
So
here's the top 10. And by the way, I want to say this, Steve.
Yep.
We are going to have individual breakdowns on the channel, so don't miss any of those. We will be doing those all the way leading up to the draft.
This is just a summary. This is just a summary of guys. But here's one of the notes that I had that I believe needs to be emphasized, right? Mm-hmm. Deep passes are hard to judge because of the quarterback being off the mark. It's either short or underthrown. I look at that because you have to factor in a bad throw but an excellent route. Mm-hmm. I like to look at that, and I also look at great throw, horrible route. Mm-hmm. That happens. Yes. But the thing I love, I'm a big fan of, man, is Skyler Bell's saw it 16 times. Man, I love his touchdown celebration. His celly, I love it. Right? It's clutch, bro.
I love it.
I was like, got to make sure of that.
Love it. Love it. 6 foot, 190-pound receiver out of UConn. We'll be at the Combine. Steve's apparently going to his pro day as well. All right, let's jump into the top 10, Steve. Who do you have? I don't know this again. At number 10.
This is a tough one. At the top 10 position. Mm-hmm. Number 10, bringing up the caboose. Deion Burks of Oklahoma. This is a tough one for me. Only had 200-yard games, right? Primarily playing in the slot, does a lot of great things. But everything is rub routes. He's isolated, goes in motion, right? It's nothing, and it's not anything against him. But a lot of his work is done underneath. 0 to 9 yards, 29 receptions, underneath route. Just a ton of underneath stuff. So that tells me he's primarily a slot receiver, right? Can he be a full-time outside guy? I'm not sure because he's not been put in a position to do that. hands are pretty decent, right? But just, in my opinion, my humble opinion, just a lot of stuff that I have question marks on that I think I got to continue to keep watching this film a little bit longer because I don't see it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't see what I really want to see, right? Look, for an explosive guy who gets out active and getting a football in his hands, man, mid, short, and behind the line of scrimmage, 29%, 41%, and 16%. Now, that could be quarterback play. I'm not getting into that. I don't do quarterbacks, right? But it's tough to really know what kind of player he could be. Played at Purdue for 2 years and then at Oklahoma. So he's, it's just been one of those things, man. I just really am not sure what can we expect. In his career, he's lined up 66% of the time out wide, right? Last year, his following season, almost 78% of the time. But man, just not uber productive in deep balls that I just would like to see compared to this list of other guys.
Okay, I get it. You're right. Spent time at Purdue and OU. You're not going to break down quarterbacks. I did hear from a scout that, he did not have great quarterback play at either location. Inconsistent, as you will. He's 5'11", 185 pounds. This past year, 13 games, 57 catches, 620 yards, and 4 touchdowns. This is what I was essentially told, Steve. This is a guy that could fall a little bit come draft time. Maybe a top 50 prospect in some people's minds around the league, but could slip a little bit for a few
I think he's going to slip a lot of bit.
Okay, a lot of it. Perfect.
I really think so. Not because he can't play. I just think teams are looking at it and evaluating and saying, hey, let me say this. This is something that I've noticed that is very shocking. You can have a receiver in college making up to $500,000 or $1.5 million.
For sure.
And go undrafted. And when you go undrafted, that means you're the low man on the totem pole. That means you're standing around watching other receivers make plays, and you're hoping to get 1 or 2 plays in a practice. Right? Quincy Skinner fell into that category with the Atlanta Falcons. Good player. However, just didn't get a lot of opportunities. Right? They had Nash on there from San Jose State. I think he was the Triple Crown winner of college football. Didn't get a lot of opportunities because of where he fell, and where you fall in the draft and on your team dictates how many reps and opportunities you get. And the later you fall, the more and more limited opportunities you get to display your talent.
That's perfectly put. And I think part of the reason why, and I heard this from a couple different scouts, was obviously speed is his game, but super inconsistent on the field and inconsistent off the field. The reports out of OU are kind of all over the place, so teams are trying to figure that out right now. It's not a consistent kind of consensus on the player coming from the university. That's always raises a couple of eyebrows from guys around the league, so they're trying to sort through all of that. I've talked to somebody, like he gives a little bit of a Hollywood Brown feel, a little bit. I'm curious what you think about that. Go route, shallow crosses, kind of that's what he does. Like I mentioned, speed kind of his game, but then they were saying I could see him slipping. I heard that from multiple people, but then also he could have a really, really good combine, and then some team is not going to care. And he has the ability to have a good combine performance, apparently, with the traits that he has. And obviously, that's weighed differently in each and every building. But that's kind of where things stand on Deion Burks. Okay, what do you got? What do you got at 9?
At number 9, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one. Alabama.
Germie Bernard?
Germie Bernard.
Yep.
Played 2 years at Michigan State, then played a year at Washington and moved with his coach up to Alabama the last 2 years. I've seen significant improvement, right? I love the creativity that he creates during his releases, makes a significant difference in his ability to get open, right? His route running. is very strong, particularly in how he utilizes his hands, both at the beginning and the top of the route to call separation. Hands and ball skills are reliable. Hand catcher, he shows strong willingness to go up for the contested football, and consistently, he makes every catchable play and turns it into a positive play. Right? Run that. After the catch, which I love. His vision on full display when he has the balls in his hands. His ability to gain yardage after the catch is excellent. And then the best part that I love, right, of all these guys, big play ability. His skill of running after the catch makes him very attractive, rookie prospect for any team to integrate into their system. And why I use integrate into their system is understanding that he's not going to be your number one wide receiver, but he has some traits to kind of show you like a Jordan Addison, where as he gets older and more comfortable, he will get better and better and become more reliable. And all of a sudden you start to see that you have a rising star that you did not see rising as quickly as he's rising.
I love that you said that, because I had this conversation the other day when we were breaking down Bernard, a national scout, and myself. And that's kind of what they said. And it was interesting because he said, I don't know if I'm alone in my building, but I really, really think he's a stud. And he said what ends up happening is everybody seems to be chasing like one or two players every draft to find a Deebo Samuel. To find that type of player. Now, he was like, it's funny, if you asked anybody in San Francisco, they'd say Deebo's probably our best football player, but our worst wide receiver, which actually is an interesting way to say it. But that was early in those years in San Fran. And that's why I bring this up, because of what you said kind of is very similar to what this national scout said, saying, you know what, I do think he does have wide receiver traits that he can grow into. He sinks his hips well. He can kind of break people off. It's there. He actually said, and I love that you said this before we started the list, he goes, there's times I don't know why they didn't throw him the ball. There's parts downfield, because I go, is he a line of scrimmage type of guy? It's all around the line of scrimmage. He goes, man, he got away from the line of scrimmage. They just don't give him the ball. I can see the routes. Like, there's some good route running to work on. Right now, he's a ball in hand type of guy.
Yes, he is.
But I can see that growing as his NFL career grows, and that's kind of exactly what you said.
All right.
I just like when things line up. I like when things line up. I think he can.
I love when things line up, because we talk around what we actually gonna say, but we obviously talk about, hey, these are the top 10 guys that I'm thinking, but you don't know the ranking, you don't know any of that, and it allows me to kind of. And here's the thing, it allows me to move guys around and not feel judged by you and John, my producer, that I've switched my mind several times.
I like that you change your mind. That means you're putting the thought into it, putting the work into it. But yeah, this guy can wear multiple hats within your offense.
Yes.
And the thing that I was told, Steve, is like he finds ways to manufacture yards. And
yes,
that's
he does.
Valuable. That's very, very valuable. Okay.
All right.
What do we got?
At number 8, KC Concepcion from Texas A&M. I like this kid, man. I really do. Explosive. The way he releases, he possesses a change of direction skill that is rare for many wide receivers. While he doesn't always win against press coverage in the past, he's shown significant improvement in this area this year. And I love to watch a guy last year to see what he's done. Now, I have to say this, really good route runner. But my dog got 19 drops over a 3-year span.
Drop stuff's real.
Ooh, that is going to be a concern from a guy who is a slot wide receiver who has to go against physical linebackers, who have to go against linebackers and corners who their first instinct is to grab, not to cover.
They're going to punch.
Right? So that is the part that is going to get him in trouble, because his change of direction skill is outstanding. But you got to remember, sometimes when you're trying to hezzy on and cross over a linebacker who's just getting it, when you gave him 2 or 3 moves, he's still stuck on the first move.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to be careful of that. But when he gets off press coverage, man, his routes are excellent. While some may view him primarily as a slot receiver, is he capable of playing outside? I'm not really sure, and it's unclear if he can handle the role of being a full-time outside wide receiver based on what he's shown and how he was utilized at Texas A&M.
Okay, I dig that.
Right?
Yep.
He is aggressive at catching the football, regardless where the ball is thrown. He adjusts well to the football. However, again, drops are a concern. 19 recorded. And that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow when catching the football is essential. That's like if you can't putt, then you're not really a golfer. Yeah. You're just whacking a ball around the course, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have as many drop passes, run after the catch, he's a playmaker. If you get the ball in his hands, man, his production, they show the results. And then obviously, again, big playability. He also offers additional value special teams that teams are going to leapfrog other people, because what you cannot have in a wide receiver room is a whole bunch of wide receivers who don't play special teams. So his role within the offense is an all-around player where he can play slot, but then he can be a punt returner. And because he's so elusive at punt return, really mastering kickoff and the way the new kickoff rules, this is a kid that you want on the field.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the new kickoff rule. That has changed as I talk to people in the league, how evaluations are being done, right? If there's two guys that you have very similar, and one of them is an electric punt and kick returner, that guy's going to slide up in today's NFL with the way the rules are right now to break the tie in some of these guys. And this guy is an outstanding type of returner. This is a guy that led NC State in rushing his freshman year. I mean, he with the ball in his hands, he is real. From a scout, this was it, John. You can bleep it if you want. Fucking juice. The juice is real. That is exactly what I was told. The juice is real. He's like an actual, like, real threat to make plays happen. And the big part about it is that he will run by people downfield. Not much of a 50-50 ball guy right downfield, Steve. But if he's going to beat somebody deep, he's going to beat them with his speed, obviously.
Yeah, he's going to beat them immediately.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that I was curious what your take was, and this scout really, really liked him. He's like, I love him. I think he's dynamic. My concern is, where do you take him in the draft? Because I have a problem sometimes with guys that are body catchers. And he seems like a body catcher with the way that he catches the ball. He lets everything get to his body. Not a natural hands guy, but he's like, hey, there's other guys. There's guys that have been able to be successful in the NFL that are body catchers. It's sometimes in this process gives you a little bit of pause. His comp was essentially in maybe a better structured body, gives you some Xavier Worthy vibes, but he's a better route runner and better underneath than Xavier Worthy. What is your thought on that? The first 15, underneath
that's
stuff.
Interesting, man. Because depending on who you talk to, is that a good thing or bad thing?
That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
And the reason I say is that a good thing or bad thing is because Xavier Worthy, when you look at the speed, everybody said, wow, this is going to translate. Kansas City's getting him, problematic trouble. And his rookie year, yes, it was. Give him, if he eats up cushion, give him the football, he gets going. However, he sustained a few injuries, right? Because of the physicality of the game and lighting the caboose.
That's why he said body structure is actually better than Worthy's in terms of.
But I think we didn't really get the Xavier Worthy this year that we were expecting, which is a step up, which is developing, maybe add one or two routes on his route tree. I think he took a step back. And then obviously he took a huge step back with Rashee Rice not being available. And it really just kind of put a lot of onus on Xavier Worthy. And it just, he wasn't ready in the system. And let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes was not ready to throw him the ball in a consistent basis either.
Yeah, there's that part of it. I want to touch on before we move on, the body catcher part, because you know this in terms of catching the football better than anybody. And the reason that this scout has that concern, and you know this, is there's less cushion in the NFL. There's less room, so you got to go out and get the ball. And so if you're letting it come into you, sometimes that makes things difficult. Can you kind of elaborate on that aspect of catching?
You got 19 drops. There's a reason why. Right? Is there a lack of confidence? I'm not here to say that there is a lack of confidence or he can't, but I am here to expose myself is there are times when you kind of get in a game and you're unsure, and not unsure of your hands, but unsure because you don't get a lot of opportunities. Then all of a sudden, you start doubting yourself and you start thinking. And I always talk about when you start thinking as a wide receiver, now you become your worst enemy because you're not reacting. Now you're overprocessing. When you overprocess, all your extremities, your feet, your hands, your shoulders, all those things start to delay. They're not fluid. They become less reactive and more, dramatic and thought out, and you start to slow things down. And I don't like when a receiver slows down because you can't see the best part of their game, which is their natural athleticism.
Got it. Yeah, but that is the best part of his game. I mean, I was looking at some of my notes here. Over 7 yards after the catch average per reception. I mean, that's impressive, man. One last note, I will say this. I was told bit of a wild man away from the facility. So obviously everything getting evaluated.
So let's talk about that, man. There are guys who have not been drafted. I remember a couple of years ago talking to two teams where geographically where they were, teams are like, yo, we don't know if we can bring this kid into this city because he already struggles with paying attention. Meaning he's getting out of the building real quick to go do things that are very problematic and allows him not to be as alert early in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? So and that's partying. Right? That's extracurricular activities outside of the work that affects your work. It affects your weight. It affects your availability because you are out, which means you are drinking. And that means also that's taking away the moisture out of your muscles, which means you have to hydrate. Then you have to get that out of your system. So all of that plays into it because it's not just can you play football, but will you be available mentally as well, because we need you in the building for 10 plus hours.
Yep. That always reminds me of that conversation. And congrats to your boy Luke Kuechly on getting into the Hall of Fame. Because
congratulations to
you
Luke.
Said he came up to you as soon as he got into the building. Was like, how do I stay in the NFL?
Look at Clark Clint with his curly hairs and his glasses. Now he got
how do I stay here, man?
Now you got contacts, driving a 911.
But he said it, right, Steve? How do I stay in the league? What do I got to do? And that varies by guy, for sure. Okay, who do we got next?
Ooh, I like this kid. And I'm going to just preface it by telling you this. Hell no, this is a grown-ass man. Listen, with Rose Sparks, you ain't never got to get ready because they allow you to stay ready. As you become older, hey, I'm older too. And I'm also single now. So being older and being single, there's a little bit of getting back on the scene and afraid that you won't be able to perform to your excellence. So I got an opportunity to make sure that I stay ready. Got to roll with me anytime the way it comes in. Ro does an excellent job of connecting you with a medical provider, and it comes straight to your door. No having to wait in line or to drive anywhere. You just sit at home, prepare, get ready, and then you can stay ready because Ro will be delivering straight to your door. If prescribed, new sexual health patients get $15 off their first order of Sparks on a recurring plan. Connect with a provider at ro.co/89 to find out if prescription Ro Sparks are right for you. That's ro.co/89 for $15 off the first order. Sparks is a compounded drug product. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. For safety information, go to ro.co/safety info. Hell no, this is a grown-ass man. Malachi Fields.
Ooh,
wow.
Man.
Man, I'm watching his film. Excellent, savvy releases. He demonstrates top-tier releases and effective tempo change. He plays with aggressiveness, highly competitive mentally, and that is evident throughout the whole film. Route running shows good instincts and awareness. He's exceptionally quick and effective when he gets in and out of his breaks. His hands attacks the football with a purpose and demonstrates strong catching ability. Run after catch, he is difficult to bring down and proves to be a significant challenge for tacklers in the open field. And he is a dominant, big playability, physical presence. We simply need to get the football to him, get the hell out the way, and let this man do his work. Oh, also played at Virginia before he was at Notre Dame, and I love what he did at Virginia. He ran some really good routes. The ability to get separation and get deep is pretty darn good.
Okay, so this guy's 6'4", 220. And I know there are some teams, Steve, that have been very high on Malachi Fields. And then you know what happened? And they're upset. He went out and had himself an unreal Senior Bowl.
Oh, he was Hulk, move.
So there were, you're right. So, that's the frustrating part in these evaluations when some teams are like, I see it. I got it. I watched the Virginia film like Steve did. I love, this is our guy. And then he's on everybody's radar after an outstanding Senior Bowl. And he was one of the best players down there. If you talk to people that were in Mobile, he is a favorite among a couple of guys I talked to. This is what I was given, and you tell me what you think. He's an absolute monster. Reminds me of Demaryius Thomas on the back end of his career, but doesn't have as much juice.
Wow.
That's a great comp, but they were like, listen, but DT had some serious juice to him too.
Yes, he does.
At his size and speed. But he said what the comp was, and one of our favorite guys, by the way, what the comp is, the way he's built, strong, physical, above the rim, pushes people around, bullies people a little bit in that instance.
He will be a bully in the run game. You best believe it.
So those were the comps to DT in that sense, but it was added that DT's juice is a difference, and that's just something that doesn't come around very often. Said he's not, maybe this guy just watches the show. He's not Keon Coleman as a big, slow wide receiver. He's a big and fast enough wide receiver. So I want your take on kind of, when guys hit a certain size, I think like 4'5" is fine. 4'6" is fine, right? Like, I think that's what they're getting at with that kind of thought. Like, he is big. He's not going to blow away with speed. If there is a knock on him, I was told, he's not a big separator, right, Steve? He's going to live in a contested catch world a little bit, but he'll make those plays.
I kind of disagree. I think he separates. I think he separates well enough. I think some of the quarterback play at times made it look like he wasn't able to separate, and then the offense of play calling. But he's really shown that he can get in and out of breaks, in my humble opinion, and I've seen him do quite a bit of things that would indicate he can separate. I don't think he's in that contested catch, because when he does get the football in his hands, man, he does some pretty impressive things that are not athleticism. It's just sheer, I'm better than you.
Exactly, and that's what I said. He will thrive in that world.
Oh,
like, he will thrive in that world.
I'm talking about big bully. I'm talking about take your sport, get your Uncrustable, get your applesauce. Man,
17 and a half yards per catch.
Oh, I'm telling you, I keep saying, hell no. It's a grown-ass man.
And by the way, he's got some hands to him. He does not drop the football.
Oh, no. He got some stone-cold hands.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Love it. I love it. He seems to be, and we've had these in years past when we're doing the show, Steve, where you start to hear some guys like that you trust go, no, that's my guy. This guy might be that player, where some guys are just like, no, that's my guy right there. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I love it. We're rolling.
Coming up at number 6, Chris Bell from Louisville.
Ooh, big guy. Okay.
Here's my comp. George Pickens for Chris Bell. That's my comp. He looks just like George Pickens. Long stride, makes it look effortless, but he's moving. He is an impressive young wide receiver who runs a slant the old school way. Man, he has a play against Pittsburgh. I haven't seen a slant route run this way in a very long time, because it's old school. It's an old school race technique that takes patience, takes practice, and then you just got to do it, right? He's down here at the bottom. Bro, I'm telling you, this I've had this play marked for 2.5 months, right? Watch him. Bang, bang, boom. Right? They're running zone. Doesn't matter the throw. I'm showing you that this young man can play and he can run some hell of a routes. And I haven't seen a race technique utilized like this in a very long time. Savvy. He's an old school route runner, right? His level of detail, I haven't seen in a very long time from a young guy, right? His releases are effective. He attacks the cornerback's leverage within the first 2 steps of his releases. He gets up on the defender quickly and consistently maintains control in the matchup. Okay. Route running, his movements are smooth and effortlessly. He demonstrates great strength by running through contact and reaching his break point regardless of the defender's positioning. He has great hands, attacks the ball well, and consistently high points his catches whenever he has the opportunity. He's incredibly tough to bring down. Pittsburgh game, man, it took 6 or 7 defenders to stop his momentum. Didn't take him to the ground. Referee had to blow the play dead. And then lastly, his ability to execute at the elite level is a major big play threat when we talk about big playability.
Love it. Okay. Did have an ACL at the end of the year, which is brutal. So he's going to be coming back from that, which obviously will probably hurt where he's picked. That's just the nature of the way this is, right, Steve? As he's coming off an ACL, that might hurt him a little bit. He had a 3-game stretch where he was just out of his mind. Yeah. That you mentioned that Pitt game, Pitt, UVA, and Miami. He was the best player on the field in some people's mind against Miami, and we know the run that they had. This is a guy. He's got a little bit of like a running back build to him. He's 6'2", 220. I mean, he's a bigger body out there for sure. Where is he at, Steve? And I had this question given to me because people are trying to figure him out because I think there are a lot of people that are curious about the way he plays. What is the limit of his route tree? And does he have a very high ceiling? I think those are 2 of the things that I have been asked to ask you, honestly.
I think he does have a high ceiling, and I think his ceiling is high because of when I say the George Pickens, man, he just runs in a way that you kind of go, is he jogging? Is he running? And then you have to measure up his speed with the way he's running away from people.
Okay.
And so that gets a little tough because it's a mind trick. It's a Jedi mind trick where you start to go, man, what is it? But really does a good job. And yes, quarterback play wasn't fantastic. Offense wasn't always consistent. But the way he's able to leverage the DB and the way he could put the DB in the spin cycle, I really take that into account. Because that gives you a lot to work with when you get them in a building. You don't have to teach them a lot of things. What you have to do now is add and enhance what he already has.
Okay, with what you're saying, you know what this reminds me of? You know how there's certain receivers, Steve, you and I have broken down where you're going, man, I hope he lands with a good wide receiver coach.
Yes.
Is this one of those instances where you're hoping that because you see the growth that can happen, but obviously he's going to need the staff to help him get there? Yep. Is this one of those instances?
Yeah, it is. I think so.
Yeah, got it. Okay. All right, Steve, we're halfway home. Number 5 on your big board.
Zachariah Branch.
Oh.
Bro, I'm really shocked, right, at just the way he just pops off the screen to me, right? Explosive with the ball in his hands. Man, he's a violent runner. I mean, violent. The only knock that I have on him is way too many screens and underneath routes that you can't really, some scouts may say, hey, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know how can he really run routes? Let me tell you. Go against play 14, going against the Charlotte 49ers, not the San Francisco 49ers where the Seattle Seahawks just won a Super Bowl at Levi. No, right here in Charlotte 49ers, right? where he runs a double move, and that tells me everything I need to say, that the offensive coordinator is holding him back because he's shown me he can run routes. He's done it, but for whatever reason, you're not allowing him to. And some of that has to do with the quarterback play. Some of that has to do with the offensive coordinator. Some of that has to do with the offense. Some of it has to do with the inability of the wide receiver. I don't believe the wide receiver is the problem. I think the situation at quarterback is the problem, and the inability to have an explosive offense in a way we've used to seeing a Kirby Smart offense with Georgia, right? So his releases, he has an incredible release. Though at times he gets caught trying to outrun the corner rather than focus on his route and technique. But that's a young problem. That's a good problem to have because you can't teach speed. You can teach technique, but you can't teach speed. While the current offensive scheme often prioritizes screens and underneath passes to get him the ball in his hands quickly, his route running against the 49ers was exceptional, which clearly he has a high level of skill in that area that can be further utilized on the right team. He has very sneaky, good hands, adjusts very well to the balls that are thrown his way. Run after catch, he's a violent runner after the catch, and I really can see this physical play. You can really see his physical play the way he plays the game. And again, he's extremely dangerous whenever the ball is in his hands as a big playability. And I just love watching his film. And the easy comp, I think, out of all of these guys would be the Deebo Samuels kind of comp because everybody wants a physical, big, and that's going to be Deebo Samuels. And let's be honest. Deebo Samuels is a one of a kind. They don't come that way, and everybody's looking for the next. There is no next Deebo Samuels. He is the next Zachariah Branch.
I love that, man. It's like you're his agent, man. Like hype, man. I love it. Like we're in WWE ring. This guy's 5'10", 180 pounds, 14 games, 81 catches, 811 yards, 4 touchdowns. I love what you said about kind of what he does with the ball in his hands, because this was the part that I thought was interesting when it was told to me. He has a different speed. He should be in the 4.2s, but he's not a speed guy. He's a football player. That's what you're looking for.
That's
right,
trouble.
Steve?
That is trouble.
That
for
is
some
what
folks.
you're looking for. And I was. That's a big deal. And so this guy was a huge recruit coming out of high school. I mean, a huge recruit. And there are times where some of these guys that I'm talking to are looking at the film going, he's open. Like he is open downfield a little more than maybe he's getting the ball there. But so much was around the line of scrimmage. Great, like electric punt and kick returner. I actually got this text message while we're doing the show right now. Zach Branch. Is it strange for me to say there's some Tyreek Hill to him?
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
And then there's an asterisk at the bottom that says to an extent. So obviously nobody wants to comp anybody to Tyreek Hill. You don't want to do that to the player. But they're watching film right now. That's a scout right now about Zach Branch, and that shows me what I just read to you from somebody else, that he is a speed guy but a football player. That's kind of what we always said about Tyreek Hill. Like he is a football player. This is an electric guy.
A lot of people don't realize Tyreek Hill was a running back and a punt returner. He was not a full-time wide receiver. So kudos to Tyreek Hill of working on his craft.
Yep.
And I think he was a 5th-round draft pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
a 5th-round draft pick.
There are a variety of reasons why he was a 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah, a variety of reasons, and you keep the past in the past. We all got something in the past we want to keep in the past. So I just, when I look at these, when I'm looking and evaluating these wide receivers, man, I'm just looking for good things to talk about them. And some of the things they need to work on, man, no, Jesus is the only perfect person. Everybody else, we practicing to improve. So it's not that we're looking to put them down, but we also not. Well, I'm not looking to sell you a bag of goods, right? I don't want you to think that I'm saying because I like a kid. Every kid that's drafted, there's something about them that I like, but there's also some things where I go, oh, I'm not sure. This can be a problem. This can come back and haunt you. Yeah. And some of those traits that I believe that can come back and haunt you, if I mention them, that's because they're hard to overlook.
Yeah. Good point. Really good point. This is an interesting play. And all the guys you're in right now, these are like top 50 prospects. I mean, these are players, man. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the US, download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, Steve, we've talked a lot of people say there's a big 3, but we're at number 4 now here on your list. Who is at number 4 on Steve Smith Sr.'s big board?
Denzel Boston.
Oh,
First of all,
Washington.
Named after one of my favorite actors, Denzel, and named his last name of one of my favorite persons in the world, Boston Smith.
That's right.
Boy, right?
That's right.
My second youngest, Denzel Boston, on his releases, I appreciate how he changes his pace and tempo in and out of his routes. A skill that's rarely seen. Whether many other players tend to go down or are tackled mid-route, man, he fights through it consistently over and over again. Route running, his ability to pair his speed with precise route running makes him a very difficult matchup against most defenders. And that's what you saw throughout college. He's excellent at tracking the football. He plays with the same reliability as Roman Dunze did in Washington. And he is the glue of this unit. His run after catch is extremely difficult to bring down. If you don't wrap him up properly, he will stay on his feet and run your ass scot over, okay? And big playability, he shows his versatility with several plays as a punt returner and maintain his physicality at every point of the route from start to finish and continuously through the catch.
I love it. I like this player. 6'4", 209 pounds, 12 games, 62 catches, 881 yards, 11 touchdowns. Talking to a scout yesterday, it was long and wiry. He eats up turf, man. This dude can roll. And so I think that's a big part of it. You look at what he's also done for a big receiver. 4 drops in 4 years at Washington.
Yes.
I think that's a really, really big thing that we should state for a bigger-bodied receiver for sure. I was told this, and I kind of want your take and maybe how you interpret this, because obviously you know the position far better than I do. For a bigger player, he's really fluid and can play inside, and he actually can play inside a little bit and play outside. Obviously, we know that. But the other part is he's kind of like he runs some routes that are interesting for a larger player. What do you take on that? And I think they're saying that as a compliment, obviously. Are there some things he can do fluidity body-wise that at his size is an advantage in some of the routes he can run?
Yeah, he at his size, he brings a rare advantage that you normally don't see out of big play receivers. Right? Usually big play receivers, they don't consistently go inside and be able to be as fluid, getting in and out of his breaks. Again, 1 drop last year, his whole freaking career, 4 total.
I mean,
man, that is remarkable, especially for a big guy who's getting thrown in traffic and possibly getting his block knocked off. And he shows up all the time.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Can he be, because we've been talking about a lot of these guys, and we started this show with a lot of these guys are really good football players, and they'll be starters in this league, and then some, there's going to be guys that get Pro Bowls. Can he be a 1, Steve?
I think he can be a 1. The question is, how would being a number 1, being drafted in the first round, how would that impact his development? Right? When we talk about the kid Burks from Tennessee. You remember Trey Burks? He was drafted in the first round by the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. He was thrusting in the number one position and did not excel. When you go first round, there are unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
And there's the pressure of whomever stood on the table is now nudging the general manager and the coach, like, hey, get my guy in there, favor and give him things that make it easy for him to display his athleticism because he's a big target guy.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm starting to think too. Where you're picked in the first round is obviously, important as well. There is the pressure of the first round, but this guy's sitting at 4 on your list. And we mentioned at the beginning that there is the big 3 in a lot of people's minds that are kind of interchangeable, what flavor of ice cream you want. If he's taken, and those 3 are taken in the top half of the first round, Steve, this guy might land in a very favorable situation if he's in the back end of the first half of that first round, because it might be in a middle. Let's just be honest, that team probably won more games and maybe better suited for rep. The other trait I want to mention before we go on is catches the ball outside his frame really well.
Yep.
Specifically, I was told balls that are low thrown to him. That's hard for taller guys.
Not for him.
Not
Easy.
for him. Yeah. That was the thing that stood out.
This is a guy that I look at. When you look at a team, I think of a perfect place for him, and big body can get going. Catch radius is outstanding. Can actually separate. Tracks the ball well. Mm-hmm. Buffalo Bills. This is a Buffalo Bill type of pick. Mm-hmm. That can really change the trajectory of this offense dramatically of playing on the outside. They got all the guys they need in the hashes, but outside, ooh, man.
That would be an interesting one. I kind of like that, actually. I like that fit. Let's call Bean. Okay, what do we got at number 3? We're now on the podium here. Since the Olympics are going on, I figure I'd throw that out there. Okay, we're on the podium. Bronze medal on Steve's 2.0 big board is?
I got to go with my West Coast dude. Right, he wasn't on my big board initially earlier in the season, but guess what, folks? Makai Lemon, love him. Everybody loves to have even our producer asked me would I go on record and say, and the answer is hell no. I'm not going on record saying Makai Lemon is the next Makai Lemon. He's not Steve Smith. He's not Tyreek Hill. He is Makai Lemon. That's what his parents named him. That's what's on the back of his jersey. Obviously USC, so they have no names on the back of jersey. We're just talking about in the NFL. But I really love what he's doing. And let me tell you this. They got the other receiver, Lane. Now, I have to say this, and he's moving up on some boards, but he's also dropping on some boards. Earlier when I was watching on the first thing I said is, man, he doesn't get a lot of opportunities, Lane. He's not getting a lot of opportunities. Then I watched him get that jam, all that toast put on him at the Senior Bowl, and it kind of made sense of why he's overlooked. Long, lengthy XY receiver who does not create any space, can't get off the jam. But Makai Lemon, 71% in the slot, 28% out wide. Unselfish player. He will block on screens for other guys. He clear out for other guys. He is the locker room guy that you want, and he got a hell of a dog to him. So his releases, he understands how his leverage, utilizes his hands effectively throughout the contact. However, early in his career, he didn't get off press coverage as well, but he's worked on it. And when I love a guy who had a negative in the years prior, and then he goes into his junior or senior year, and he works on exactly what everybody's saying he needs to work. That tells me he's coachable. He sets up the defenders well with the slow rocker step. His hesitation to step with the slow rocker step is amazing. He shows excellent patience. And one of the things that you love to see, especially from a guy who's going to be utilized and looked at as a slot receiver, man, he shows a lot of patience and doesn't rush his routes in the China, jerks, looky routes. Makai is one of those players, I kind of said it, and I think it may be, he would pair excellent with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. Rashad Bateman, I believe, is going to be hit in free agency. And I don't think they have missed what they thought Bateman would be out of Minnesota. But, he's made plays. He's changed. Mm-hmm. He's has an opportunity to kind of prove some people wrong. I mean, run after the catch. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands and shows elite playmaking ability. And then lastly, big playability. He is a natural knack for big plays and provides significant value on special teams. Here's what I believe right now, and I'm putting my stamp on it.
I'm writing it down.
While he may not post a blazing 40 time, his game speed is much faster. He's shown a clear ability to run away from any defender. And overall, I believe he's the toughest wide receiver in this whole damn class of the 2026. That's just me. Maybe I'm favoring him. If you don't like it, I can't help you. I just go off of what I watch in the film. He's a gangster, bro. He's Cali all the way. I love him.
Drop it in the comments. Listen, I think that's a big part of this because when you look at it, I believe I had it down in my notes. He caught 16 of 28 contested targets in his career. He's not the biggest of receivers. And that toughness part that you mentioned, I think, plays a factor in that. He's 5'11", 195 pounds.
So what you trying to say?
I think he has the ability to go up and get the football.
You draw his size. Like, no, I'm joking.
But listen, you're a guy who did that as well, so you should know. I don't think the size matters. I think your mentality matters in a lot of those contested catches, and I think he puts his body in really good position in that. I think you mentioned it, but I was told it the same thing and maybe a little different wording, Steve, that he uses his intelligence in his route running really, really well. You kind of hinted on that with the patience he has, the rock step, all these different things to set up corners. He's very, very good in terms of just understanding route running and understanding how to create that space and do some things. This is a guy that could go in the top 10. He honestly could go in the top 10 of this draft. I think the return ability that you mentioned is extremely important. What did we just see in terms of what the Seattle Seahawks did midseason? Rashid Shaheed, even though he had games where he obviously was not putting up massive receiving numbers, he helped them win that Super Bowl with the type of returner he was and the electric player he was in that aspect. And you had obviously a great career as a returner and what the value that brings to your team as well. And
it gets you on the field. It gets you on the field earlier.
It gets you touches, man.
It gets you on the field earlier. You get you get a clear-cut understanding how fast the game is. You get an opportunity to be a young player, but get exposure of the game, and so that's extremely important.
It is. Now, there's another part of this that I wanted to bring up, and this is the nature of the way evaluations happen and the way that people look at the league,
I've been avoiding that, but I already know what you're going to say. It has to do with his releases. He gets jammed up and caught up a lot.
Okay. All right. You said it before I could say it.
I know it was on there.
Yeah.
I had it on there and I have it highlighted. I just skipped over it several times and then I know you was going to get to it.
You gotta put everything in there, man. Come on. But it is true. So there's that part of it. But you have always told me that those are things that you can receiver coach, reps.
Yeah.
All those things, those can be added. There's still so much to work with as a player. The one thing I would say is, as we have two guys ahead of him, and this is kind of the big three that a lot of people have, the one thing I was told from his guys is he feels a little more specialized compared to the other two that you're going to get to. In terms of where he's not just a slot, but kind of has a lot of slot traits in how he wins and a lot of ball in hand type of stuff. So it's not a knock on him. He's just a little bit more that type of player compared to the two guys that you're going to have above him on your list. Let's go. And the other part I was going to mention too is, how much do you think people are looking at him right now and looking at him in a different light after JSN won Offensive Player of the Year?
Oh, they have to. It's a copycat league, right? There's a trend that goes on in the National Football League. So at first it was tall receivers. Who can get the next Randy Moss, right? You got to remember, the year Randy Moss was drafted, there was another wide receiver from Utah that was actually picked ahead of him, Kevin Dyson. Big frame wide receiver. People are going with trends. So you have the trend of big frame wide receivers, and then all of a sudden, the corners started being big frame,
little rangier. Yeah.
rangier, and all of a sudden they said, hey, we got to find some shifty guys because rangy versus rangy means nobody eats. And then all of a sudden they started going with more, more jitterbugs, guys who are more elusive, who can.
You saw New England go that way, right?
Yes,
with all the guys they were using.
Yes, and so that is where we're at, and I think Makai brings a unique skill set because I just don't think, in my humble opinion, outside of these top three, man, then all of a sudden it drops off, right?
Yeah.
And when I say drop off, not skill level, it drops off of team needs. And because of the team needs, teams are going to say, we will wait to get a guy because what we actually need is a left tackle, because if we don't get a left tackle, we all in trouble.
We ain't throwing it to anybody anyways.
Yeah,
So
we about
you're
to be
right.
fired.
Because that's the thing. You mentioned 70% of the balls he caught were out of the slot. That was JSN was, hey, he's a slot guy, but John Schneider saw him as a guy that can do much more. I don't know if this helps or hurts Makai Lemon. Honestly, what JSN did, it may help him in terms of getting drafted. It may hurt him in terms of people not being patient and letting him have his own career. I'm kind of just curious how that will go. Okay.
I didn't think of it like that. I like that, though.
Oh, appreciate it. Silver medal, the runner-up.
Oh, the runner-up. So I have him as 1B, Jordyn Tyson. And the reason I have him 1B, let's be honest, I have Carnell Tate from the Ohio State University as 1A, because these two guys are deemed the best two guys, and it just depends on who's going to draft them, right?
Okay.
Who has the opportunity to draft them will depend on who picks who.
Okay.
That it's not, it has nothing to do with skill set. It has to do with which guy do they prefer based on their wide receivers room. Great example. None of these two guys would ever get picked by the Cincinnati Bengals because he would never play.
They already have these players, I
Yes,
think.
Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they'll play, especially with their quarterback play that they're trying to develop. They can't afford to make that quarterback think even more, right? So you just don't put them in the mix.
I'm going to love talking to these two guys right now.
Right? Jordyn Tyson, first of all, injuries have been a concern.
I've been told, Steve, this is a very important medical evaluation.
Yes,
at the combine.
is. Here's why it's important. Because he is very good and effective of setting up the defenders. Top notch. While his routes are not as sharp and precise as some of the other top prospects, I view this as a positive. You want to know why? Because it demonstrates that he's a blank canvas that you can further develop and shape and mold him just the way you want to.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? I would love to see him attack the ball a little bit more. At times, he lets the ball falls into his chest or into his hands. I don't like that because that's where the defender gets handsy. That's where the defender comes in and can take the ball away. Right? He's exceptionally competitive and will high point the ball in traffic. You've seen a number of times he gets going after running the catch, but health has been a concern. When health is not a concern, he's consistently a big play threat, the ability to gain significant yardage after the catch, remarkable. But you saw at times where he tried to get out, and that hammy said, slow down, son, and he had to. He offers a very good value on special teams as well. But listen, overall health is going to be a concern. He's a true difference maker when healthy. However, his injury history remains a significant question mark and will likely concern some teams who will not play around because they don't have the time and they are on the clock, so they won't bother with them.
Yeah. So the medical that Steve's touching on here, he was at Colorado first, right?
Yes.
Before he left. And so he had an ACL, MCL, PCL knee injury. He also had a collarbone injury. He also had, Steve mentioned, the hamstring spot of it as well. And so, yes, the injuries are definitely part of this. And I found this part interesting. and I want your take on how this correlates, because I had a scout tell me if I have a knock on him, and I'll get to plenty of the compliments, they're there, but since we had the injury talk right here, he's not very strong, and the lack of strength plays a part in him getting hurt. Do you think sometimes if strength is an issue, you have a tendency to get hurt more often?
Well, soft tissue injuries are happening more and more just because it's the Underwear Olympics. That's just what they do. They don't really focus on isolating and rehabbing and preparing for the season. They prepare to run routes. So that's just my humble opinion. Say what you want to say, but every single one of these young guys comes in. They look great at the combine. They look great on film. They look great doing all their stuff. And then they get into the real work, and they start getting some elbow grease put in there, and then all of a sudden they get a tennis elbow. Ain't never played a damn lick of tennis in their life. So that just has to do with the lack of understanding that what you did in college. When you get to the league, here's what you need to do. Understand you could be a hell of a college player, but when you get to the league, you need to get up early, work out, eat lunch, work out some more, do some training, and then start all over and do it again. And that means that you may be a decent football player at some point. You got to work.
That's true. And that's a big part, because this guy, he's 6'2", 200 pounds. I was kind of told the lack of strength plays a little bit of a role in how he's not outstanding in contested catches. He's not very big. He is tall, but not very big. But this is the part that I wanted to mention. You mentioned that I don't see him going to Minnesota because one scout told me, man, I don't want to say it, but my brain does go to some Justin Jefferson when I watch him play. The looseness in the way he plays. Yeah. No, I mean, I already got you.
So thank you.
That's the point they're making. I love that you said that. So he's like, the looseness in which he plays, I think he's a stud, man. He's not a burner, but he is freaky within the first 20 yards.
Yep.
That's where he really, really can do some things. He's like, his movement, route running ability, the movement stuff. He was like, this is as good as I've seen in recent memory with some receivers, just the way he moves. There's some Garrett Wilson there in terms of, remember when Garrett was coming out and just like the body control, the movement and the way Garrett kind of played. He's like, man, this is, you find yourself writing a lot of the same words during your write-up when you're watching Jordyn Tyson play and watching him run routes. Older brother plays for the Cavs, by the way, so they know the pros a little bit now. I think this is a really good player. I think the medical evaluation and what teams think of terms of the injury past might be a separating factor between him and Tate.
Absolutely. Now we got Carnell Tate, Ohio State. Man,
good program for receivers.
Man, great program. I'm really
Carnell Tate, let's go.
Really impressed with 0 holding penalties of 600 blocking snaps. 0.
He's a good block. Yeah.
That really is impressive and gives 110% effort on every play. Consistently just produces big plays after big plays. Releases are very creative off the line, which will translate well into the next level. Route runner, he's a glider. He maintains high speed while appearing effortless. He's savvy against zone looks and shows great awareness of defensive coverages. And I love watching that out of a young kid. Run after the catch, strong ability to pick up yards after the reception, big play. I expect him to be firmly in the race for Rookie of the Year conversation, just flat out because of his top-notch adjustments in the air to the football. And here's how you get cut trying to cover Carnell Tate. Give him cushion, and he'll eat your ass up and go by you. That's just who he is. He's a clutch receiver who attacks the ball, and he is Agent 89's #1 wide receiver on the board for the 2026. Drop it in the comments, subscribe, like, hate, do what you do, but the board is set.
The board is set. 6'3", 195 pounds. In 11 games, he had 51 catches, 875 yards, 9 touchdowns. I love, Steve, that this is a guy, and I don't know if you know this, but I like Ohio State. I went there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
He's waited his turn. He has had other guys. He's played second fiddle. He was about to get his opportunity, and then what happens? Jeremiah Smith comes, still doesn't bother him. You mentioned the blocking. If you ask around the college football landscape, and I know you know people there too, the character, the blocking, and selfishness, the hands. He had one drop. No, he didn't have a drop this past year.
No, he didn't have. He did not. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Did not have a drop, but has 5 total in his career.
In his career.
That's impressive.
So what I thought was so interesting and why I started smiling when you were talking about Tyson, you're going, I don't see these two guys going to Cincinnati. I don't see these guys going to Minnesota. What did I tell you about Justin Jefferson and kind of that, just seeing that a little bit with Jordyn Tyson? Well, from a scout, I see some T. Higgins, man. I see some T. Higgins in the way that he plays. He said he's not super twitchy, but he's strong. He'll go up and over DBs. You mentioned that. He leans on guys. He finds ways to get an advantage downfield. He said the skills of going up and getting the football and going up and over guys and making it look easy, the over-the-shoulder stuff, Steve, the body control stuff, I haven't seen that in a minute. Like that's what I was told by a high-level scout. We're like, when I see him do that, I haven't seen that type of skills in a minute here in evaluating wide receivers. So he makes a lot of it look easy. He's not going to be a burner down the field, right? He's probably going to be in the mid-4.4s, some guys say. But with being 6'3", the way he can use his body, specifically at the sideline, and get advantages when the ball's in the air, and he just snatches everything. Like he'll go
snatcher.
Up over DBs. He's a
ball snatcher.
He's a ball snatcher for sure. Oh my God. But like he is, this would be 5 straight years now, we're expecting it, that Ohio State will have a first-round wide receiver coming out. And this may be
the year where they have 5 first-round picks in multiple positions. Goodness,
they might. But he's got kind of everything you're looking for: the acrobatic player, the footwork, to be able to get both feet in bounds, stuff like that. Contested catches. He was maybe the best in college football in a lot of people's minds in that terms. So it's just he's kind of a fluid player. Do you like that T. Higgins thought?
I do. I think I believe that's excellent, because when you look at T. Higgins and the way he's utilized, there are times that is so much attention given to Jamar Chase that T. Higgins thrives on that. You can't cover him one-on-one if you do. And then if you try to line up and try to shadow or, shift some coverage towards him, he gets into the zone coverage but has the ability to catch it in traffic. He stands up and does an excellent job. Now, if they can run the football in Cincinnati, that'd be helpful to get some of the defensive focus off of this average offensive line and getting Joe Burrow hit so many times. But man, T. Higgins comp, I love that comp. I think it's excellent, and really overall, there's a ton of guys in this draft class, man. I'm just super excited to deep dive into. Now, yes, there are a ton of guys in this draft class that has a ton of value. But understand this. There have been very few times where 30, 25 receivers have been taken in the draft. So understand, there's about 50 or 60 wide receivers, and there's about 45 to 50 wide receivers that have been invited to the combine. But that doesn't mean you're going to get drafted.
Yeah.
So I just have to warn you, you can be excited about your guy, but don't say the team has no idea what they're doing, because what you don't see is they get so much intel. And I'll give you an example of intel on the draft.
Okay.
And I was sitting in a room, and one of the guys called another player's roommate to confirm, is this kid this way or that way? And they were talking about an activity. He called him, texted him, replied, and said, nope. And I saw that kid move up a spot because the intel was updated and corrected.
Yep. And that's why they're going to be doing it all the way up to the draft. We're going to be breaking this stuff down.
And I remember when I was coming out, I had to do a credit check. They made me fill out a credit check, and they went through my credit.
Whoa.
Because they just want to uncover and see what kind of individual are we getting into our building? Mm-hmm. Is he fraudulent? Does he have some tendencies that can be problematic and hurt and derail our plans to be the next team in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Wow. And you know what? I think that's fitting to end on this, because that's kind of like, that describes Carnell Tate. You're talking about pro ready, check every box, kind of like Emeka Egbuka last year, where a guy comes in from this program where you just go, okay, he's just ready to roll.
Yep.
You know, we don't
looking
have
like
to worry
rookie of the
about
year.
him. Just looking like a rookie of the year, and you go and get it. So, all right, that's the Big Board 2.0. Drop your comments down there. Make sure you like and subscribe. Do it all, because we're going to keep breaking down these receivers. We're going to have individual episodes on each and every one of these guys. It's going to be something. Steve, I'm heading to the Combine next week, so I'll try to talk to these guys.
Next week? You're going next week? I thought it was the week after.
No, it's next week, baby. Here we go.
What day?
I'll be there Monday.
You should have saw your face. You're like, what? Huh?
Did I book my flight incorrectly?